On this channel, we explore concepts and clinical reasoning in medicine in a simple and systematic way. Let's get started. The diagram presents a systematic diagnostic approach to hyponatremia, beginning with the confirmation of plasma osmolality, which is the most critical first step because it determines the true tonicity of the condition and guides further evaluation. Step 1. Assess plasma osmolality. Hyponatremia is first categorized based on plasma osmolality into three major groups. First, hypertonic hyponatremia. Second, hypotonic hyponatremia. And the third, isotonic hyponatremia. This classification is essential because not all hyponatremia reflects true water imbalance. In hypertonic hyponatremia, plasma osmolality is elevated due to the presence of other osmotically active substance, most commonly glucose. Why this happens? When substances like glucose accumulate in the extracellular space, for example in hyperglycemia, they increase plasma osmolality and pull water out of cells into the extracellular compartment. This dilutes sodium concentration, resulting in hyponatremia despite an overall hypertonic state. Other causes such as mannitol or glycerol administration act similarly by increasing extracellular osmotic pressure. In isotonic hyponatremia, plasma osmolality remains normal. Why this happens? This condition is usually due to laboratory artifacts caused by markedly elevated lipids, hypertriglyceridemia, or proteins paraproteinemia, for example multiple myeloma. These substances occupy plasma volume but do not contribute to osmolality, leading to falsely low sodium measurements when using certain laboratory techniques. Thus, sodium concentration appears low, but effective plasma tonicity is normal. In hypotonic hyponatremia, this is the most clinically relevant category, where plasma osmolality is genuinely low, reflecting excess water relative to sodium. The next step is to assess volume status, which determines the underlying mechanism. Step 2. Assess volume status. The first, hypovolemia, hypotonic hyponatremia. This occurs when both sodium and water are lost, but sodium loss exceeds water loss. In urine, sodium less than 20 suggests extrarenal losses, for example vomiting, diarrhea, and third space losses. The mechanism is the kidneys conserve sodium to compensate for volume depletion. In urine, sodium more than 20 suggests renal losses, for example diuretics, mineralocorticoids deficiency, salt wasting, nephropathy, and osmotic diuresis. The mechanism is the kidneys inappropriately lost sodium, worsening hypovolemia. In both cases, hypovolemia stimulates ADH, antidiuretic hormones release, which promotes water retention and further dilutes sodium. The second one is euvolemic hypotonic hyponatremia. Here, total body water increases while sodium remains relatively normal. In urine, osmolality less than 100 suggests primary polydipsia. The mechanism is excessive water intake overwhelms the kidney's ability to extract free water. In urine, osmolality more than 100 indicates impaired water excretion, usually due to persistent ADH activity. Further evaluation includes thyroid function. Hypothyroid can reduce cardiac output and GFR, stimulating ADH release. Adrenal function. Adrenal insufficiency leads to cortisol deficiency, which removes inhibition of ADH secretion, causing water retention. If both are normal, SIADH syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion. The mechanism is excess ADH causes water reabsorption in the collecting ducts, diluting plasma sodium without causing edema. In hypervolemic hypotonic hyponatremia, in this condition, both sodium and water increase, but water retention predominates. In urine sodium less than 20, seen in congestive heart failure, cirrhosis, nephrotic syndrome. The mechanism is despite total body fluid excess, there is effective circulating volume depletion, triggering REES and ADH, leading to sodium and water retention with water predominating. In urine sodium more than 20, seen in acute or chronic renal failure, the mechanism is the kidneys lose the ability to excrete free water and sodium properly, resulting in fluid overload and dilutional hyponatremia. Overall physiological principle. The central theme of this diagram is the hyponatremia is primarily a disorder of water balance rather than sodium deficiency. The key hormone involved is ADH, which regulates water reabsorption in the kidneys. Increased ADH makes water retention, so dilution of sodium. Decreased ability to excrete free water worsens hyponatremia. Volume status determines whether ADH release is appropriate. The conclusion: this algorithm emphasizes a logical, stepwise approach. First, conform to hyponatremia through plasma osmolality. The second, identify whether it is hypotonic. Third, assess volume status. Fourth, use urine sodium and osmolality to pinpoint the cause. Understanding the physiology behind water movement, ADH regulation, and effective circulation volume explains why each condition leads to hyponatremia and ensures accurate diagnosis and management. Thank you for following this discussion. In clinical practice, what matters is not just what we know, but how we think. See you in the next discussion.